G'day and welcome to Acting Vertical. My name is Daniel Yoma and today I'm going to start this video by asking you a question. In your words, what makes an actor a good actor? Well, that's the big question, isn't it? Whatever you answered, I encourage you to drop that down in the comments below this video. You might think it's something simple, knowing your lines, being professional on set, bringing a really interesting and unique take to the character, but I think there's a little bit more to it than that. I believe that the most criminally underrated and overlooked response to that question is how well the actor understands the form and by extension the genre of the project that they are acting in. This is what we're covering in today's video. In our next video, we will be discussing the specific tropes and characters that verticals often use. So if there is a specific trope that you don't want me to miss, drop that down below in the comments and I'll make sure to include it in the next video. The way that an actor projects their voice to the back of a 300-person theater is different to how I would project my voice to the camera in front of me and different to how I would speak to a friend on film. Even specific to film, the way that an actor would express their emotion or movement in the scene would change whether it's a wide shot or an extreme close-up. What I would like to share with you are the unique aspects of working on a vertical short drama as opposed to a traditional film set or even theater. Before we launch into that, however, do check that you are subscribed to the channel. And while you're doing that, make sure to give this video a like. It really goes a long way to support the channel and build this community of actors. Starting off with the obvious, you are filming on a vertical frame. Watch what happens when this frame becomes vertical. There's not a lot of room, is there? Proportionally, you take up a lot more space. If you zoom into my head, that's when we're getting to an extreme close-up. If we zoom out a little bit, now you're seeing more of my body, maybe my hands, maybe my legs. We zoom out even further, now we're looking at a wide or establishing shot. And you can barely even see me or my emotions at all. So how does this affect you as an actor? Here are a few key takeaways from my experience on vertical sets. Firstly, hitting your mark is so important. If you're off by even an inch, you could be out of frame. Proportionally speaking, movements to the left or the right make a much bigger difference on camera. Even shifting your weight from one leg to another can make or break the shot. Secondly, you need to be more aware of what your hands are doing. If you have your hands stuck by your side for the entire scene, it might feel natural, but when you look back at the footage, you will appear like a statue. Now, this isn't as much of a problem in traditional horizontal film because usually your hands won't be in shot the entire time. They'll typically cut it from the shoulder up for most of the scene. So what I like to do is I'll put a hand in my pocket, or I might gesture somewhere, I might hold something, interact with the scene, interact with a prop, and that helps me also stay in character, which is a bonus there as well. Try and find something for your character to do throughout the scene with their hands, whether it's a pose or a gesture, you're crossing your arms, you're doing something like this, anything at all, just to make your character a little bit more interesting. Thirdly, and the last thing that I'll say about framing, is it creates opportunity. Modern film and television have been working on a horizontal frame for such a long time that almost every shot is basic, unoriginal, and something we've seen 100 times before. Now that we're working on a vertical frame, there's so much opportunity to foreground the up-down movement that previously wasn't as impactful on a horizontal frame. So while it is easy to look at the disadvantages of verticals, saying, oh, it's hard to get a landscape shot, it's hard to show movement, hitting the mark is so difficult, think about the opportunity. It's so exciting, and many producers across the world have already started to experiment on really cool shots. This is a brilliant opportunity, and when you're on set, I encourage you to try as much as you can to push the limits of new creative and unique shots that foreground the positives of a vertical frame. Beyond just the aspect ratio itself, let's talk about short dramas as a concept. They typically run an episodic series with 60 seconds per episode. An episode will have a punchy beginning, something that happens an arc throughout, and then a cliffhanger at the end that is a big dramatic moment, encouraging the viewer to watch the next episode. Modern TV typically has anywhere between 30 to 60 minutes per episode, so condensing that down into 1 minute is a real challenge. In order to achieve this, editors will usually cut between shots very fast, Typically, no shot lasts longer than 3 seconds on screen, usually anywhere between 1 and 2. So, how does this affect you as an actor? Firstly, you want the beginning and the end of the episode to be as gripping and dramatic as possible, because that's where you hook the viewer in to watch the whole episode, and that's where you tease them to watch the next one. If you have a scene that crosses between multiple episodes, make sure that you still know where that episode cut is, so that you can foreground that big dramatic cliffhanger moment. On a side note, I find that paying attention to the scene arc also helps me learn my lines, so that is a bonus as well. Secondly, your reactions need to be fast. If you know that the shot is probably not going to be there for longer than 3 seconds on screen, that is your maximum amount of time to have a reaction. It's not a lot of time. If you're given dramatic news like, I'm pregnant or we're getting a divorce, you need to respond immediately. In real life, it might take someone a solid 30 to 60 seconds to process that complex set of emotions. If you perform a slow, drawn-out reaction, the likelihood is that the editor is just gonna cut from you to someone else and it'll look like you didn't react at all. There are exceptions to this, and every scene, every production is different. I am aware that this conflicts with what many of you would have been taught by acting coaches that are typically trained in film and television. And while their advice may be true for film and television, consider that vertical dramas are a completely different form. Verticals are a new industry, so the traditional standards may be helpful as a foundational basis, but they don't always translate directly to verticals. That said, this is just my opinion based on my experience in vertical dramas. If you choose to fight me in the comments, you are more than welcome to do so. Based on the quick cuts that happen in vertical dramas, the performance method that I've developed is this. I will give an immediate reaction, and then across the next 3 seconds, a secondary processing of that reaction. For example, as my character receives some news, he'll react immediately, process, and then provide a secondary reaction. The editor might take just my first reaction, or they might keep the whole thing. The important part of what I'm trying to communicate is that I gave the editor 3 seconds of very fast developing emotional journey. Is it realistic? Probably not. Maybe. I don't know. That's up to you to decide. But this, put on normal film, probably wouldn't be as effective. I've danced around this point until now, but it's finally time to talk about genre. Vertical dramas, also known as short dramas, fall into the genre category of hypermelodrama. They take soap opera and they push it to an even further extreme. A normal vertical plot is a billionaire pretending to be a plumber that has ties to the mafia that is currently linked with a werewolf pack that's fighting a horde of vampires. While all that is happening in the background, your ex is sleeping with your professor, so you failed class and then you fell in love with the poor plumber who's pretending to be a billionaire. The stories are crazy, and so the characters must embrace that energy in order to truly enter that world. It is the most similar to comedic acting because most of the characters are eccentric or ridiculous. We don't criticize Michael Scott for being unrealistic because his character fits into the genre of sitcom. As an actor, I beg you, please, do not judge your character. Do not judge what they do. Please embrace it. Verticals are a crazy world, and if you downplay your character, the scene will fall flat. Commit to the part and it'll turn out amazing. Form and genre are not to be underestimated. Remember, my next video is on the tropes, so if you have any particular kind of characters you love to see in verticals and would love to see me talk about, make sure to drop a comment about that as well. Or if you agree or disagree, have anything to add, drop me a comment about anything in this video too. Thank you for watching. My name is Daniel Yongma, and this is Acting Vertical.